Survivor Strategy, Chapter 41. You know what? Drop the 4, add the 1. This is the newest episode of the Evolution Survivor Strategy. This is, I did a podcast on the Old Survivor podcast where I broke down, I went during the COVID lockdown. I went back and watched every season of Survivor. I talked about some, the strategies, the things that make Survivor Survivor. And so I have a lot of stuff to talk about from season 41. I'm not going to get into a lot of I've done a season review, and that will come out sometime next week. It might come out on Christmas, so Merry Christmas to Easy Nation. But this is where I talk about the strategies, what I thought worked for the season of Survivor, what's going forward, some of the new twists that the season had, and there's a bunch of new twists, some new interpretations of how we use immunity idols. So there's a lot of stuff to unwind. So let's get right into talk about. So this season, we're moving from the 39-day. We're moving on from a 39-day season to a 26-day season. And I wasn't crazy about that when I first heard about it, just because I'm a traditionalist. I like stuff the way I've always had it. And, the only other Survivor season that was away for the 39 days was Survivor Australia Outback, which was 42 days, which was way too much. And, you have Australian Survivor, which is way too many days, too many people. And I feel like 18, after doing my rewatch of Survivor, All-Star seasons work with 20 people. I think a 20-person cast for an All-Star season, it's great. Now, I think a newbie cast, 18, 39 days, 26 days, whatever the days are, I think on a newbie cast, I think that is a better, I think an 18-person cast is better. It's more fun. They don't have to jam so many tribal councils down your throats. And so that's one thing I did like about the seasons, that we went back to like a 18-person cast and all of that. So I have to say, first off, the cast. The cast makes this season, and you have to have good characters in a Survivor season to make Survivor just such a fun season to watch. And there's some very cool characters. And now there's this new mandate where we have to have people of diversity in these seasons. This isn't the first season of Survivor where we've had very mixed casts racially. I mean, Survivor Cook Islands, very controversial at the time. The race wars, where they divided the seasons into these diverse tribes by race. You had the Asians, you had Hispanics, you had the whites, you had the black tribes. But now we're bringing in, the cast has to be 50% diverse. And my biggest gripe about it is, I don't want to just see. I know it's probably speaking from my high horse, but I don't want to just see whites play Survivor. I don't want to just see blacks play Survivor. I want to see a mixture of players. Like I would like to see Hispanics play Survivor. I want to see more Asians. I mean, we've had some really great Survivor Asian winners. I mean, the winner of this Survivor season, first Filipino Survivor winner. So that's pretty impressive on that part. And then go back to Survivor Cook Islands. Surprisingly enough, you have Yule, who was the first Asian Survivor winner. So let's get into the season is divided into 3 tribes. I'm tired of 3 tribes. I'm tired of the 3 tribe format. I'm ready for. I want 2 tribes. I think 2 tribes would be better. I just don't. It's a little much for me. So, but we stick with these 3 tribes all the way up to the merge. So that was something refreshed, was fine, I guess, because I'm so used to the tribes mixing up, and you thought the one tribe was going to get absolutely annihilated, and luckily that didn't happen. And it's always interesting, because in Survivor Kel Wrong, when the yellow tribe, they won. They didn't go to tribal council once, and they were so divided that they were and the other 2 tribes were able to come together and take this one tribe out. That didn't really happen this season, and that's one thing I really like. We've moved away from classic Survivor, where we're saying drop the 4, add keep the 1, and the game has reinvented itself a little bit. And I have to say that I was glad that we didn't see a Pagongan. I'm glad. I mean, we did have a all Lulu final three at the end of the seat. Well, it wasn't all Lulu actually. Now I'm thinking about it because we had Sander, and so let's get into some of these twists this season. So first, the first big twist of the season, which was called the shot in the dark. So basically, the shot in the dark is you can say I'm not going to vote. I'm going to take my shot in the dark, and I might have an idol. Interesting prospect, bad in format. I wasn't crazy about that choice. And you know what? The one person who played the shot in the dark blew up in her face because voted if she had voted the way she was supposed to vote and voted the one girl out, and then she doesn't go home. That girl goes home, and because she used the shot in the dark, and I mean, but the thing about how you beat the shot in the dark is the same way how you beat any advantage in Survivor is you blindside, 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 and that's how you defeat these twists in Survivor. There was this new thing called the Summit, which I believe that's what we're calling it. So the Summit was basically Exile Island. They send these people, and these players can get twists. You had a bunch of these extra votes. None of them were really changed the flow of the game. But I'd rather see about 6 or 7 extra votes in the game because that's not going to break the game like a 5 or 6 immunity idols, which sent somebody like a Cherie home back in Survivor game changers. So that's good to see from that end. Then we also brought in these new things called the Beware. These were you open this up, you don't have a vote. So there's these phrases where you have to say it, and then people are like, "Oh, he." You have to say these I'm thinking trees starting to look like broccoli, man, and it was I was just like I'm not crazy about that because there's the hidden immunity idol is no in this season it's not a hidden immunity idol, and that was one thing I will say was refreshing about the hidden immunity idol this season, and was kind of reinvented itself. Is that the hidden immunity idol was actually not hidden. People knew where the idols were, and you had to kind of play your way around that. So I thought that part of the season was kind of interesting to see. I didn't like the phrases and how everybody knows what the idol is, but it's kind of cool to see how you have to play that into it. Also, we had another twist this season. Feels like I'm getting through all the twists, but that's what I'm doing. The knowledge is power twist. Now, there's been a lot of controversy on this twist because it causes you have to tell the truth in a game that thrives on lying, backstabbing, and deceiving, and you have to tell the truth. It's kind of bullshit. But I like the idea of the knowledge is power twist. But once again, the knowledge is power twist is like any other advantage in Survivor. It's like the hidden immunity idol. It's like the extra votes. It's like the idol nullifier. You have to keep it hidden. If you know who has the idol, you do not tell anybody your powers. You don't tell your people anything unless you have to tell people your powers in order for it to activate. That's completely different. This twist, if she knew, like it would have been a great story. She took the idol from Sanders. Sanders gets voted out. That would have been a great moment. I mean, the moment's pretty iconic on its own. And so now I want to move into some of the game players this season. So the superstar characters this season was Shan. Shan is somebody who if she never plays again, I'll be shocked because I think she's a shoo-in for a Survivor Second Chances too. And I thought she was great. I mean, the whenever she says, "When I'm being bad, when I'm being evil," I play this little song. Do, 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 do. I thought that was very, very interesting. I mean, we still don't see a lot of fun Survivor female villain characters. Like you had the Parvati's in the world, but those are more the flirtatious kind of Survivor villains. And so I really like Shan this season, and that whole relationship with Ricard. And I love they had this Wendell and Dominic kind of relationship where like eventually we're gonna have to go after each other, but we gotta stay together until we just can't do it anymore. And the thing about it is, though, they went after each other too quickly, which is really what causes the ending of this Survivor season. The move on the tribe whenever they convinced JD to give his extra vote to Shan and they vote him out. And the whole over, he's like, I don't want to go down as a big idiot like Eric giving my beauty necklace. And unfortunately, man, you're gonna go down as one of the biggest idiots in Survivor history. But I think that also gives you a chance at redemption. So I think you will probably, maybe, I could totally see a JD coming back. And that's the thing about this season. Like I said, the casting is so good. It has so many great characters. And then you have characters like, Deshaun, who is playing this very social game, able to get into these conversations with players. And then, we didn't see a lot of our winner this season during the pre-merge, Erica. If the Lulu had lost that immunity challenge, Erica goes home. Erica would have been voted out pre-merge if they had lost that challenge. Fortunately for Erica, Naseer was on her tribe, and so Naseer kept Luvu from throwing the challenge. And so the thing about Erica, she reminds me of like an Adam Klein or some. I mean, I'm not saying she's a top 10 winner, but top 20. I think people were threatened by her the entire season. She's very smart. She commands the room. I mean, the moment for me when I realized when I finally understood was whenever they're like, okay, let's take out Shan. And Erica's like, well, if we vote out Shan and she plays that immunity idol, I'm going home. Let's split the votes between Shan and Liana. And then that way we're goaded. And that was when in that moment when Danny's like, she just continued to prove that she's a huge threat, and maybe we should try to take her out instead. And there are always so many great players like Danny who you have that little moment. Like we didn't see a lot of Danny, but I really enjoyed this character. This season was a very enjoyable Survivor season. Had some really great game players. The social stories. I mean, the Black Alliance, how it brought together and then it fell apart, was a way better story than what we saw in a Survivor in a Survivor in Big Brother. Last Big Brother season with the Cookout Alliance. I thought this did more for me and brought those messages and those stories and like the moments with Deshaun breaks down, and I really enjoyed this season of Survivor, and I'm looking forward to season 42. I'm curious to see how it goes. I know this season wasn't rated really the greatest, and I think people need to get over themselves a little bit because I thought this season was great. And I mean, I'm not crazy about all the not come on in guys and stuff. Because I mean, for me, I still say go yes. I mean, when I was doing my reaction Survivor, every time Jeff would say that, I would say that, and I enjoyed watching that. So, but overall, this was a good season. It does advance the game a little bit. I think there's some twists that once again I'm always fine with Survivor pulling these twists, the shot in the darks, the beware twist, the knowledge is power twist. But I'd rather you go for the home run and it blowing up in your face a little bit, but it didn't overall affect the game. What I loved about the season was it brought it back to the social gameplay of Survivor, and we're seeing these players. We're seeing these players using their wits, their social abilities to overcome these twists. And the twists don't dominate the game; the players dominate the game. They're just weapons. but the players are the ones that really make the game. So, guys, that ends this episode of the Evolution of Survivor Strategy. I hope you guys enjoyed Chapter 41. It's been a minute since I've done an Evolution of Survivor Strategy. Probably won't do another one until May next year, but it's always fun talking about Survivor, and I'll have another episode. I'll have my season review come out next week, probably during Christmas, and then Sunday, me and Rainy Cage on the Easy K Show, we're going to be talking about Evolution Survivor Strategy. We're going to be talking about just the overall season. So I'm curious to see what Aaron or Rainy Cage's thoughts of the season are. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be like, I don't like the social justice things. There's not the Survivor out there. But it's a kind of good format because I'm going to be on the other. I'm on the other aisle of the show. So, and yeah, so guys, also make sure you check out my other reviews. I'll have a review of the new Spider-Man movie coming out this week, and then I should have some other stuff coming out. I'm planning on seeing West Side Story tomorrow and Nightmare Alley. So I'm looking forward to seeing those movies as the year ends. So we can get to a top 10 movies of the year. So guys, until next time.